Well, that magical time has finally arrived. We're gonna start taking the door down. Well, as you can see, we've already started a little bit, but we've got more rivets to drill out. We've got screws on the handle here that don't want to come out, so we'll have to deal with that. And getting these panels off is first. Then we're gonna put the door down for one last time and start cutting away at the structure of the ramp till it's in itty bitty pieces. And then we get to build a new ramp, but one thing at a time. All right, let's go. So as you can tell, the weather has changed slightly here. It's not quite as warm as it was, but today's decent. That's why we're trying to get as much of this outside work done as possible. And you know, we think this door has been in place, well, we know it's been in place since at least the mid-90s. We found a name on the back of the door here. It's kind of hard to see. And we contacted that person. We found out, well, Spike, right? You guys saw on the interior panels of the trailer, we uncovered Spike was here in 1997. Well, we know that this back door was there in 1997. So we're removing something it's been there at least a quarter century, this door. But we're replacing with something much more important. Thankfully, these rivets are coming out pretty easily. I wish we were able to save at least some of this structure, but the door is not right for so many reasons. It's the wrong height. The inside structure of it is not conducive to, it's not gonna work for what we're trying to replicate with the ramp extensions and everything. So unfortunately, it's just gonna be easier to scrap it all and start over. All right, so my solution, as you can see, since I can't get those screws out, and it's all getting scrapped anyways, I just cut a notch out so the rest of the panel should hopefully fall down once I get the last couple rivets out. There's one. Actually looks kind of cool, doesn't it? With that panel off. Oh, let's see if we can get the other one off. Well, we are pretty much past the point of no return. Hope this was a good idea. Probably not. So now that we got those panels off, I think the next thing we can do is put the ramp down for one last time. You can see I've put up a heavy duty tarp right inside of the trailer, the rear of the trailer. I've zip tied it all around. I've put a wood block on the bottom. I think I'm also probably gonna put a tarp on the outside as well. I mean, rain, snow, there's nothing that can really hurt the trailer at this point, but I think I'd probably feel better if we had a tarp on the outside too. So let's go ahead and put the ramp down. All right, guys, wanted to take a minute and thank our latest donors that are getting added to the semi wall. So for those of you who aren't familiar, a couple weeks ago, maybe over a month ago at this point, we decided as a way to help raise some funds for this very expensive project of restoring the semi, we would give you guys the opportunity to have your name on the semi wall. Originally, I was just going to write the names on the actual aluminum panels of the wall, but the response from you guys has been ridiculous, to say the least. I have so many names. We're over 130 names already, and we've now raised enough money to build the sleeper, which is amazing, absolutely amazing. Now, unfortunately, that's not the only high ticket item we've got with this restoration. Besides the tires for the tractor, which we still need, we also have to get the ramp fabricated, the new ramp with the ramp extensions. We're gonna have to paint this whole thing, redo the whole interior. I mean, we've got a lot more to do. So we're going to extend this opportunity to have your name on the semi wall. I don't want to say indefinitely, but into the new year. At some point, there's going to be a cutoff. We don't know when it's going to be, but we wanted to give you guys the opportunity. Some of you have said, you know, I can't donate right now, but I want to donate maybe after the holidays. So we're going to extend it out for a while. If you're interested in donating and getting your name on the semi wall, the cost is $100. And you can send that via PayPal to nightridersemi@gmail.com. That's nightridersemi@gmail.com. And then we'll do, in our future video updates, we'll get your name added to the wall. This, what you see here, is very temporary. We're going to actually get names laser engraved on a nice acrylic plaque and kind of do it up, a lot fancier than my crooked and messy handwriting. So today I wanted to go over or show you the latest donor since we did this, like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I'm gonna try something a little bit different this week. As opposed to you guys just watching me scribble names, which cannot be that interesting, I decided to print out all the latest ones and just tape them here. And I'll just keep doing that every week. Once this is all said and done, and we're done accepting names on the wall, we're going to take all of these names and we'll take them and we'll get them engraved. We'll get an official plaque that will be permanently mounted on the inside of the trailer for like all eternity. So I'll come in and I'll show you kind of a close-up of these names. If you are on this list and we have misspelled your name, or there's something you don't like, you want to change something about it, shoot us a message. If you do not see your name on here, but you did donate, also let us know, because as you can see, the names are coming in quick, the donations are coming in quick, and we've missed a couple here and there. We're only human. So let me bring you in and show you the latest list. All right, here are our latest donors to the semi-wall. Thank you, all of you, not just our latest ones, but all of our donors for contributing and really helping us to bring this project to life. I mean, it's so amazing, the work that is going into this, and you know, the final product is just gonna be just insane. So thank you guys very much. And our next semi video, whenever that may be, hopefully in the not too distant future, if we get any more names, which I certainly hope we will, we'll add them to this list. Again, if you're interested, nightridersemi@gmail.com for PayPal, or if you have any questions or you need an alternate way to pay, email us there and we'll figure something out. All right, back at it. All right, so I don't think I ever really showed you guys how the ramp worked. I mean, works, you know, currently, which is nowhere near the right way. There are two switches that someone installed here, one for the left winch, one for the right. The original setup only had one winch to control both cables. And I can see why, because even though this trailer has two identical winches, one is slightly slower than the other, which makes putting this door down kind of a pain, and put it back up kind of a pain. So once we put it down this one last time, all this gets ripped out, all of it, everything. And we're gonna rebuild it in the way that it was during the show, at least the way that we've been told it was in the show. So this obviously is the power cable that goes up to the winches, and then we ground it on this bar, which grounds it obviously to the trailer. So let's go ahead and get it all hooked up here one last time. There we go, nice little C-clamp there. All right, so the system's live, so now all we have to do is put it down. All right, here we go. Night Rider semi-trailer, fake, incorrect ramp, putting it down for the very last time. Of course, you always have to stop it and give it a little tug till it gets past the point where gravity pulls it down. Again, not something you ever saw on the show. And a little more. The door is so much lighter without those outside panels on. There we go. All right, now of course I have to pause it there and move all this junk out of the way. So, stand by. All right, so there you have it. The door is down for the last time. Let's go ahead and remove these cables, and then we'll get the cables pulled back up into the winches and then disconnect the battery. We shouldn't need it ever again, hopefully. Wonder how much this door weighs. Oh, it's heavy, but at least I can move it now. I think once I get that other diamond plate piece off, this thing will be super light. Actually, it'll probably be pretty easy to chop up and move around, so. All right, let's get these cables off. I have to say, the one nice thing about working on this trailer all these months is the fact that it was in Arizona, and all the bolts have come out, for the most part, relatively nicely. Relatively nicely. All right, let's do the other side. Oh, don't want to lose those nuts. There we go. Door's unhooked from the cables. I'm clearly going to need a second set of hands to keep tension on those cables while I reel them in. So maybe we'll do that here in a little bit. All right, let's see if we can get this diamond plate off, and then we'll be down to the actual skeleton of the trailer, of the ramp. Some of you guys have asked, well, what are you gonna do with these diamond plates? And, you know, we may just repurpose them for the floor in there. For all we know, these are two of the original panels that they took from the floor in there and put them out here. So if we can make it work, why not? Let's see if this comes off. Yep, sure does. Just like that. That wasn't too bad. Just out of curiosity. Oh. Just kidding. Oh yeah. That's not too bad. So it turns out I forgot to hit record on the camera and talk to you fine folks this whole time I was cutting this piece off, and just now realized I forgot to record it. So, as you can imagine, it came off. As you can see, I didn't lose any appendages. Now we just have this much more manageable piece hanging out the back here. Boy, can you see how it's flexing these panels right here when I do that? Yeah, that all needs to come out. I don't like that. All right, so what I'm thinking is maybe we'll do another cut back here just so we can get all this weight off here, and then we'll take the grinder and we'll just cut these welds and do it that way. Because these pins, I mean, they're in there. Ta-da! It's off. Okay, well, let's hope we can build the correct door. We're in it now. All right, so we got most of the door cut off, and now it's time to get this last piece cut off. It's only held in place by 2 pins. There's a pin here and a pin over there. And once that pin comes out, this whole piece can drop out, which is nice and easy. In theory, right? Because I tried to get the pins out. They are not interested in moving at all. It's almost like they're welded in. So, before I resort to plan F, I'm going to try and hit them out with my persuader. Yeah, I think this should do it. Just kidding. This might be a little bit better. Now I really can't go much bigger because I can't get to the one side of the pin easily. This part of the trailer is in the way. You know, there's all this stuff in the way, so I can't take a good whack at it. So I'm going to attempt to kind of put this in here like so, and give it a couple good whacks like that. Will it work? Probably not. Will you be entertained by this? Maybe. Let's try. I find that calling out 80s catchphrases really helps me to get into this, so let's give it a try. The plane, the plane! Nanu, nanu. What you talking about, Willis? By the power of Grayskull. Hey, Norm! Make it so. Autobots roll out. Eat my shorts. Thundercats, ho! Great Scott! E.T. phone home. Cowabunga. Go, go, Gadget. Where's the beef? Pardon me, do you have any grape upon? I want my MTV. Holy macanoli. I pity the fool. I have the power. I love it when a plan comes together, because knowing is half the battle. Possum on a gum bush. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Big bucks, no whammies, stop. Whoa. Buzz it on a buzzsaw. Cut it out. Did I do that? You dipstick. Straight ahead. This doesn't appear to be working. I'll be back. Hey guys, I wanted to take a minute and talk to you about Patreon. As a lot of you know, we have a Patreon community, quite a pretty good sized Patreon community. I mean, you guys have really blessed us with your support over the last couple years. It's so awesome. So in our Patreon community, we provide early access to all our videos, some exclusive videos we never publish publicly, behind the scenes photos, other things like that. It's actually really, really neat if you're a true Knight Rider fan and you kind of want to see just a little bit more than what's out there publicly. We have 4 different tier levels in our Patreon, and they relate to the different levels of support. So there's something for everyone, right? Our highest level are our flag agents. Now our flag agents are get some special, I guess you could say, special perks that the other levels don't. First of all, if you join and become a flag agent, you get a shout out from me in a future video, which we'll do here in a second. And you also get any questions you have related to the show or to us or whatever answered in a future video. And that's not a one-time thing. That's if you're a flag agent, you ever have a question, you shoot us a message in the Patreon chat and we answer it in a future video. So we've got quite a few questions to go over as well. So let's get going. We'll start with our newest flag agents. All right, we've got Matthew Kent. Now Matthew was a lower level Patreon supporter and bumped it up to flag agent. So Matthew, thank you so much. Are you related to Clark Kent? If so, I've got some questions. All right, next up, we've got Steve Cospito. Yeah, okay. Another increase from a lower level tier to flag agent. So Steve, very, very glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. Another level increase, Eric Andorissi, I'm so sorry, I'm terrible with names, Andarisi, one of those two. Eric, thank you for joining us. We also have two new people. We've got Volker Heuermann. Volker? I love that name. That sounds so strong. Volker, that's an awesome name. We're glad you're here. And finally, we've got Redacted. Yes, Redacted. I had a friend named Redacted once. He was kind of mysterious, didn't really talk much. No, this guy wanted to support us, didn't want his name out there, so we're gonna list him as Redacted. So Redacted, can I call you Red? Thanks for joining us. All right, so we've got quite a few questions here, so let's get going. Maybe some of these will be of interest to you. All right, we got from Joe and Linda Webb. Hi, Joe and Linda Webb. Linda has a question, and I have a question related to the video of all the kits used on the show. So we did a video recently where I spent way too much time breaking down all of the Trans Ams used in the show. You should check it out. It's ridiculous. Anyways, were there any cars in the inventory for Knight Rider that were never used on screen for whatever reason? Sort of. So, as far as I can tell, there were never any cars that were converted to kit by the studio that were meant for use on the show that never made it on the show. Even cars, there were some cars, you know, because by the second and third and fourth seasons, they actually had probably more cars than they needed in some situations. So there are cars that were used as kit, but they were only used in a couple episodes, as you saw. But there were never any cars converted to kit that never made it on the air. Now, with the infamous train derailment, which we've talked about before, when GM had an issue, a train derailed, there were 54 brand new 1983 Camaros and Firebirds in the accident. GM couldn't sell those cars, so they gave some of the Firebirds and Trans Ams to Knight Rider, some to the Fall Guy. Rumor has it some of the Camaros went to Simon & Simon. I don't know if that's true or not. But so Knight Rider got a bunch of cars from that incident. The cars that were usable were converted to kit and made it on the show. So your question was, were there any that were never used on screen for whatever reason? So my answer is yes, I think, because the show also got a handful of Trans Ams from that train derailment that were deemed too far gone. They were too destroyed, too wrecked from the train derailment, so they didn't turn them into kit cars, but they did take all of the usable parts off them as replacement parts for the usable Knight Rider cars. So technically, those were Trans Ams that were for the show that never made it on the air. There you go. All right, and Joe Webb's question, were there any cars crushed that were not train wreck cars? And if so, why were they crushed when there was no obligation to do so? Yes, there were. There were other reasons why the cars were destroyed, not just because of the train wreck. There were also product placement cars that were given to the studio by Pontiac that were not involved with the train wreck, but the stipulation was still there that those had to be destroyed too. Now, like 95, 99% of the cars that were crushed when the show ended were train wreck cars, but a couple of them weren't. The one that comes to mind specifically is the season 4 insert car. The season 4 insert car was a standard black and gold Trans Am on the outside. They never converted the outside. It was a 1984 Trans Am, so it was after the train wreck, but that car was crushed when the show ended. So that was probably some sort of a product placement car. So yes, there were, but by the time the show ended, they had like 12 cars total. And as you know, 5 of them have survived. The Flivver car, if you count that, I guess that would be a 6th kit that survived. But most of the other ones were train wreck cars and they were destroyed, but there were some that weren't train wreck cars. Okay, Jeremy Stidham. I guess my question would be, would you ever consider a show like World of Wheels to take your car to? And do you get asked to take it to a lot of shows? Yes, I would definitely consider a World of Wheels show. And I get asked, I mean, not a ton, but I do get inquiries here and there about the car and taking it to shows. And I'm very particular about the shows I take it to, mainly because of the time investment, because I've got, responsibilities here, even outside of, the trailer and Knight Rider. I've got like big boy responsibilities. So I'm very selective about what I do and where I go with those things. But yeah, I'd definitely be interested. All right, my main man Redacted wants to know, was William Daniels ever on set during the filming of the episodes? No, I don't think he ever was. He would just come in, because he was filming St. Elsewhere. So he would just come in, and probably knock out a couple episodes at a time in a sound booth. And the famous story goes, he never met Hasselhoff until the Christmas party, the 1982 Christmas party. So no, I don't believe he was ever on set. All right, Robbie Cohen, did Stu Phillips compose all the music for Knight Rider? No, he did the first 12 or 13 episodes through Forget Me Not. When Hearts of Stone came along, and then for the rest of the series, that was Dawn Peak. And none of the score, he asked, were some of the scores unlicensed stock music from the studio? No, they were all, sound effects were, but the actual scores were all done specifically for Knight Rider. Did Stu mentor or work with other great TV theme composers like Mike Post or Pete Carpenter during his career? I don't know if he mentored. I'm sure he worked with them. At the very least, I'm sure he knew them, but I don't know specifically. Okay. I think that's it. I think that's all of our questions. So again, if you're interested in becoming a flag agent or just joining us on our Patreon community in general, there is a link in the description, and there is also a link in the corner of this video right now. Okay, let's, do some other stuff. When all else fails, the cutoff wheel again. I got one side loose. There we go. There we go. Got it. All right. So we're down to almost all original now. Get rid of my gloves there. So all this all needs cut out still. All this needs cut out, this needs to come out. And then we got to rebuild this whole footer to match this right here. This is original Dorsey and original Night Rider. This is not. So we're gonna get a piece of metal cut, graft it all the way back in. But that's a big step forward right there. The door is 100% removed. Making progress. All right. So I think that's probably gonna do it for this video. Getting the door removed was quite an accomplishment. So next up is cutting all this out. And once we get all this cut out, we're gonna make a template, take it down to a fab shop, get a template, or the piece actually made out of steel. Then we'll get our welder guys up here, weld it in place, and we'll be good to go. All right, guys, the semi-restoration continues forever, pretty much, next 12 years. Nah, the rate we're going, we're gonna have this thing done next year. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it as always. Talk to you next time.